Yeah, Damon, this is west of Shamrock, west of Leela, Texas, and there is a lowering in there. We do have a wall cloud that's in this area. It's just south of I-40 coming up this direction, but what we've been noticing is this particular lowering right in here has extended a little bit closer to the ground here just to the south of I-40. And again, this is the problem is all of this is headed toward Oklahoma. That's why we're out here, is to bring you the first alert. So that's why we're coming out here a little bit further west. So you can see the storm has quite a structure to it as you're looking straight west down I-40.
Michael, we can see that all the way here in the TV studios. And yeah, that's definitely quite a lowering. It's probably going to be the lowest lowering that we have seen so far today with these storms. Michael, watching this storm quickly move to the east-northeast at about 55 miles per hour, definitely going to be quite a threat here. We are also watching for other areas that are going to be other storms that are moving out of the eastern part of the Texas Panhandle into western Oklahoma, and those two will likely have a tornado risk as well. So this entire line, we're going to see these embedded circulations within them, but right here, Michael is on this warning. Here's Chris Lee right now, again, up near the Wheeler area. Let's check in with Chris right now. Chris, give us an update on what you're seeing.
Yeah, Damon, this storm doesn't look as strong as it has. I don't know if it's cycling through. It's moved a little bit further north.
Okay, we'll get Chris back on here in just a moment. Okay. Hey, Chris, you're kind of coming in and out here, so I just want to give you a heads up. But go ahead, Chris, if you can hear me, go ahead and go.
Yeah, we're on Highway 152. We're west of Sweetwater in the Texas Panhandle, and we are looking to our north of that storm. It doesn't look pulling through. The storm to our south that Michael's been looking at looks much stronger right now. We can kind of see that from the other side. We're kind of between those two storms. So we're heading back into Oklahoma. Illustrating out here, Damon, because these moving so fast. Usually we kind of run up and take a good close look at them, and then we back off. And it's just very hard to do that today because you've got to stay on the main roads or you just can't. The storms will run off and leave you. So that's what we're looking at right now. It doesn't look as strong as it did as it was approaching Wheeler.
Well, and that's, there's going to be a lot of storms that are going to kind of pulse up and then others that are going to probably become the dominant ones here. So, again, this coming in from Michael. Look at all the lightning that is in this storm right now. Again, Michael's going to be out near Shamrock, Texas, but we're here to make sure that in western Oklahoma, you know exactly what's coming in your direction. And I feel like the lightning has just ramped up in the last couple of moments here. Let's go back out to Michael. Michael, your storm, there is so much electricity in the storm headed into western Oklahoma. Michael, we saw that lowering earlier. What are you seeing now?
Oh, my gosh. The lightning has just dramatically increased right now with this supercell. We have a funnel right here. Look at this, Damon, right? This is actually starting to spin. That's a lot closer to us. Now, it's not really underneath the lowering area, but that actually, wow. I mean, that's happening right in front of us. You can see it lit by the lightning. And then you've got the other lowered area back behind it. That's kind of where you would expect the tornado to develop. But with these storms and as fast as they're moving, man, who knows? So we'll just keep our eyes peeled. The inflow is just screaming into this storm right now as it's really starting to pick up. Now, keep in mind, everyone, we're still out in Texas. We're out just to the west of Leela, west of Shamrock. But this storm is going to move rapidly to the east and to the northeast into Oklahoma, so that's why we're tracking it out here.
Yeah, and it's important, in southwestern Oklahoma, these storms are so important to you, and that's why we're making sure that you know exactly what's coming in your direction. At this current track, it would make a run towards Elk City here. So Berlin at 717, and then Elk City at 7:30 with this storm right here. There's likely going to be some hail up inside of it, but again, the main threat with these storms will be the wind. And so whether it's powerful straight line winds or if we're talking about tornadic winds, we're going to keep a close eye on this cell right here as it continues to move much farther into the eastern Texas Panhandle, and give it just a few more minutes. Right now it's 6:22. It won't be long before it's crossing over the state line and it's coming into western Oklahoma. So that right there is going to be the latest with that storm. Let's go down the road. We'll go down on the southern flank of this, Jonathan, because I am concerned about these warnings that are now going up down along the southern fringe here. You can see the warnings just go all the way down now west of Turkey. And so here's Buck right now. He is going to be west of Hollis. Let's check in with Buck. Buck, you're on the southern flank. And by the way, these storms tend to have a little bit more oomph to them. So be careful when these storms come rolling in here. But Buck, what are you seeing down in, you don't have Buck? Okay, well, at least we'll talk to him. So, Buck, we have you on the phone. Buck, give us an update on what you're seeing.
I mean, we're kind of seeing a lot of what we saw a while ago, but this continues to intensify, and it's really starting to pick up speed, approximately about 50 to 55, 60 miles per hour out here to the west of us around Memphis, Texas. Seeing a lot of blowing dust. There's a lot of open fields out here that makes visibility bad. But we're definitely got our eye on this, and we're going to try to stay in front of it and get back to you as soon as we can. Back to you.
So, Buck, just a heads up, that storm that is just west of you that we're looking at in your picture right now is warned for 80-mile-per-hour winds, and the instability and the strength that the atmosphere has in it this afternoon only gets higher as it moves into Oklahoma. So these storms, again, they're starting out pretty impactful as it is. Tornado warnings, 80-mile-an-hour winds. Get ready in the next 1 to 2 hours for us to start saying 90-mile-an-hour winds, 95, 100, up to 110-mile-per-hour winds. That is coming tonight. So once again, tornado warnings continue now. These are coming right up to the Oklahoma Texas state line. Here they are right here. So right now we do have one warning currently in Oklahoma that is going to be north of Cheyenne. And so it is going to be for this cell right here. Kind of a cluster of storms that we see near Arnett. Let's check in with Shane. Shane, some strong winds with your storms just south of you. Shane, give us an update on what you're seeing.
Damon, we are actually heading into the rain right now, and we're just south of Shattuck. We actually saw the first lightning strike just moments ago right here on the south side of Shattuck. We are going to head down towards the Arnett area and then start moving east from there across Highway 60. However, we've also got a report from one of Charlie's cousins. He said that there is a confirmed tornado down there at McLean off that storm. So those of you here in Oklahoma, be watching those storms that are coming up through the Wheeler area, because if there's already a confirmed tornado and they've had tornado warnings on them for a long time, and we're reading stuff that says that they could be coming into more favorable air, you need to be prepared. These storms are moving super fast. So right now is the time to be prepared. You're in the watch area. That means maybe you should already have all your stuff together to go to your storm shelter. Or if you're going to a public shelter, maybe you should already be at that public shelter, because once the warning is issued, it's going to be too late because of how fast these storms are moving. Damon, back to you.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, once the warning is issued, once your phone is going off, it's going to be too late. Again, there's quite a bit of warnings and quite a bit of speed in this. Let's go back out to Michael here. Michael, we see this lowering in your shot. You're going to be out by Shamrock, Texas, and a tornado warning here. Michael, give us an update on what you're seeing. Okay, we'll get Michael back on here in just a moment. This is the picture coming in from Michael right here. So he's out by Shamrock, where this is a tornado warning. You can see the lowering with this. At times, there have been quite a few funnels that have been at least appearing within this complex right here. So we're not that far away from these storms coming into Oklahoma. Okay, Michael, we have you live on the air. Michael, give us an update on what you're seeing.
Yeah, Damon, what we're seeing here is multiple different lowerings with this storm, and I'm kind of centered up on one of them right now. And look at that, maybe even starting to see a funnel right there, right in the middle of that. You see that little kind of thin funnel-looking appearance. So we're going to keep a really, really close eye on this. This is the one that we are looking at that's west of Shamrock that continues to be very powerful. Also, I'm noticing a lot of upward motion, right, in this particular area also. That's going to be a lot closer to I-40. So this storm is really, really intense right now. Now, I don't have a confirmed tornado on the ground at this moment, but it is really intense.
It absolutely is really, really intense. And a lot of these storms are going to be really, really intense this evening. And so this is just one of the probably dozens of storms that we're going to have that are going to have some higher end warnings. And so you've been hearing us use, a lot of language about the threat for wind 70, 80, 90, 110 miles per hour. I do want to emphasize that the 110 mile an hour wind gusts and the threat for that is not widespread tonight. That will be isolated within this line, but there's going to be a lot of 70, easily 80, 85 mile per hour wind gusts coming in here tonight. So that will be at least a starting point for a lot of these warnings that you're going to see, probably 70, 80 miles per hour, and then we'll just take it from there. So as far as hail is concerned, there will be a hail threat, but typically when these storms begin to line out like this, the overall hail threat tends to come down a bit here. So still though, wind, whether it's tornadic or straight line, it's all going to have the same impacts, and that is wind damage, power outages, and so we're watching this real close eye. Now, these storms are going to pick up speed even faster as they make their way into the state. So, Jonathan, we're watching this particular storm right here that's going to be still in the Texas Panhandle, but Jonathan, I mean, just the amount of data that we have coming in this afternoon and this evening, the shear that we have ahead, I mean, it's incredible.
That's a term that everyone's going to hear Damon and myself use a lot tonight, and even Michael. So shear, when it comes to weather forecasting, we're looking at two types: the change of wind direction with height, and that's what causes storms to rotate. So down at the ground there at the southeast, then through the low-level jet, kind of the south, and then the upper-level jet southwest. See that rotation? That's the problem. We have high shear and also speed shear. So as you go up higher in the atmosphere, say this is the ground, you're going up, your winds are faster. That will tilt over the updraft. So we got two things. We have the component that storms are going to be rotating really hard, and that makes them longer lived, okay? And then strong updrafts, and then that they're knocked over, they're not collapsing on themselves. So it's a balance, and that's what we're seeing. What I'm concerned about right now with the storm that Michael and Chris Lee are looking at, this storm is a discrete supercell kind of just miles ahead of the line. So what we're going to look at is when these storms are discrete, that's when they are supercellular and they have the highest probability maybe producing a tornado. And we'll have to see how this storm that Michael's just south of, how it interacts with the rest of the line. One thing that may happen, the storm down to the south that I'm highlighting with the pink color there, that will throw potentially some rain on top of Michael's, but there seems to be enough separation right now that Michael's storm would have the highest tornado rate. You're watching the video live. That looks to me like could either be scud, or you can see kind of that tail end appendage kind of coming down, and they're talking to Michael right now back in the comm center here, but that's what we're looking for. Discrete supercell, you get the wall cloud, little tag in, they get the funnel, but Damon, that storm still is out ahead enough on the line that this is our primary tornado risk right now.
It really is. And for a lot of us that have been in central Oklahoma throughout the day, and you just step outside and you say, it just doesn't really feel like a severe weather day. So what's happening in western Oklahoma, and eventually these conditions will spread into central Oklahoma, is what we call just-in-time moisture, just-in-time warmth. And that is the fact that we're seeing this warmth and this instability roll in here just in time, right ahead of it. So as Jonathan just mentioned, this supercell, it's just a couple miles ahead of the line, but it's just far enough ahead to where the overall threat is going to be a little bit higher than the squall line itself, because it is by itself. And so again, putting a storm track to the east on this one, you can see here with this tornado warning moving at about 55 miles per hour plus, it's going to be headed in towards the Elk City area right around 7:30. So Elk City, that's about 1 hour from now. So we're here to make sure you in Elk City that you know what's coming in your direction. Here's Chris Lee. There's Michael. We have Buck down to the south. We have Shane up to the north. So our crews are out right now. But at this moment, again, we have these storms in Texas Panhandle. Let's go up the road, up to Harper County, up towards Buffalo, where a brand new severe thunderstorm warning was just... A tornado warning coming? For Roger Mills. Okay, let's first just go into Harper County real quick. For those that are going to be from Laverne up to Buffalo, this cell that you see right here, 70 mile an hour winds and nickel-size hail. So that's the latest with that one. Just want to give you all an update up in Harper County. For those of you that are living in western parts of the county, Laverne to Buffalo, nickel-sized hail, but 70-mile-an-hour winds. And you can see it's going to be with this cell that's right now just north of Laverne, moving up to northeast, and will likely stay over extreme western Harper County. Okay, let's go down to our very first tornado warning of the afternoon here in Oklahoma. It is going to be for this cell that is coming in right here. So you're going to see it pop up on the television screen here any moment now. Again, they are now typing out the warning and getting all the coordinates, but it's going to be for this cell, rightfully so. I mean, Michael, Chris are right in it. It's going to be for this northern one. Here it is right here. So let's check in. It's going to be from there, and Shane should be real close to this, by the way. So let's get Shane on this, because Shane's going to be on this storm. We're coming in on this storm. So it'll be for Crawford, the Raiden. So tornado warning for Roll, Crawford, as you make your way up towards Raiden right here. And again, moving fairly quickly up to the northeast with this cell. So Shane's on the northern fringe of this. Let's get Shane on the phone and let's talk to him. So Shane, tornado warning just to your south. Shane, give us an update on the conditions you see in front of you.
You know, Damon, we were just watching that right before the Weather Service issued the warning, and it is definitely looking like it's heading straight towards our area. We're going to go south just a little bit farther so we can get a better view on it. We're on the west side of Arnett. In fact, those of you who live here, we're going over Red Bluff Creek right now. Anyways, we're between Arnett and what town are we between there, Charlie? Anyways, we're just west of Arnett, and we're fixing to head south out of Arnett, and that should put us right in the path of that storm. So we're going to be really, really, really close to it. And with the rain right now of this storm here that's at Arnett, we can't see the storm. But I will say this storm, even this storm here, is going up pretty quick. So a moment ago, I made a comment about the favorable environment. I've noticed that there are several storms going up right here around us fairly fast. So we're going to be racing back and forth trying to get on each storm to see what's going on here. It's going to be a very, very exciting evening. Damon, back to you.
So we're watching the storm right now. And again, so this is our first tornado warning in Oklahoma of the afternoon, and so it is going to be for this cell right here. These are moving quickly up to the northeast, and so even looking outside of the polygon, Visay, Mutual, Sealing, Southern Woodward County, this right here likely going to be coming in your direction. So the area that we're watching, and with just the upper level winds here, I mean, these are just all getting stretched out, but it's going to be very close to Raiden right now. I mean, right on the county, right on the state line, literally very close to Raiden. So moving up to the northeast at speeds that are just feel like unheard of this time of the year for severe weather. But we go into Leedy at 7:09, Visay at 7:21, Sharon at 7:26, Mutual at 7:31. Outside the environment, outside of this polygon, the environment is still very well supportive for these storms to continue to rotate. So if you're up in the Sealing area, Visay, while you're not technically in a tornado warning yet, just know that there's a very good chance that one will be coming in your direction. So again, these storms, they are moving, and they are moving quickly up to the northeast. On the left-hand side of your television screen, we have this entire line covered from the north down to the south. So Shane is going to be on this storm. And once again, Raiden, southwest of Crawford, this is the area of circulation that we are watching with this storm, and it's stretched out. The storms themselves are not going to look like your typical supercell severe weather storms that we get here because the upper level winds are so strong. So that's why you see them stretched out like this. That right there just shows you how fast these storms are moving because the winds are just stretching them out this quickly here. So once again, Raiden, tornado shelter, innermost room of your house immediately. Same thing from Crawford, the Roll, and as you make your way, Durham, you're going to be okay. So Durham, this will likely stay just to the south of you, but it will be moving up to the northeast here at lightning speeds, literally at about 55 up to 60, 70, almost 80 miles per hour. Another tornado warning that we were expecting to come will be coming soon now for southern Roger Mills and northern Beckham County. So things are now changing pretty quickly here. So we have been on air since 6 o'clock, making sure that you knew everything that was coming in your direction. For those of you in western Oklahoma, these warnings are important to you. We want to make sure that you know exactly what's coming in your direction. So Sweetwater, Mayfield, Dempsey up to Cheyenne, you're about to be and a tornado warning here. So it won't be long, just a few moments from now, before we see the red polygon popping up in western Oklahoma, now making it 2 tornado warnings. So as we said earlier, things are gonna change pretty quickly. That is happening right now. Chris Lee is on this storm. We also have Michael on this storm. He's gonna be he's by Shamrock. And the way that these storms are just moving today, I mean, there's no room for stopping at all. I mean, these storms are going to go, and they are taking off as we speak right now. So these storms, again, are moving at speeds that are just much faster than I think any of us here in Oklahoma can remember. So again, that's the area of circulation with that storm near the community of Twitty, in between Twitty and Wheeler, Texas. And that's about to cross over the border and come into Sweetwater, Oklahoma here very soon. Chris is there waiting for that. We have Shane on this tornado warning up here. Wow, look at that rotation right there. That's just incredible. And then there's another area of spin. Basically, there are going to be so many areas of circulation within this line right here that it is just going to be incredible. But that right there, I mean, that is a couplet that is probably with the that's going to live for a while. When you see that type of look on the radar, moving at over 60 miles per hour now. It's coming in the. Let's go down the line here. So Sweetwater at 6:53. That's about 20 minutes, 15 minutes from now. We go into Berlin at 7:08. Elk City at 7:20, and then Canute at 7:26. And so I believe the warning just came out here. And so it should be popping up here on your TV screen here any moment now. So this could be a tornado warning moving to the east at 70 miles per hour. There it is right there. So these are narrow polygons, by the way, but they are long. And so the hail size within this at about $half size hail. So all in all, the hail sizes are not huge, but the wind threat is going to be there. Jonathan, highlighting this area south of Wheeler, moving to the northeast at 70 miles per hour. As long as this storm, Jonathan, stays by itself, it's going to continue deep into Oklahoma.
It is, Damon. And one thing I'm going to do here from the radar helm, and just going to be very transparent with everybody, is that I'm analyzing data on the side, but a lot of times I may leave the radar up in what we call the velocity mode. That is the Doppler, that is the wind part. Because when I go back to like what we call reflectivity, the intensity, it is really hard to see where the areas of circulation are. I can highlight them with the blue circulation, and obviously you're going to see our storm tracks and tornado polygons. But if I just slip over to the velocity, and I'll also highlight on the radar where they are at. But this is what we're going to have happen here. In the next hour or so, we're going to have embedded in the line supercells, and they're going to have strong mesocyclones, and they're going to have legit tornado risks, okay? So if you're in the path, we're talking storm motion is 70 miles an hour. This is not something you're going to go outside and be like, hey, I want to look at the tornado. Please don't do that. Your life, you have to take your tornado action plan, all right? These are going to be moving really quickly. Right now, there's still supercellular storms that this hasn't squalled out yet. Once it lines out to that squall line, Damon, we'll transition to a widespread damaging wind threat with embedded tornadoes on the line. But these are still supercells, which are all daisy chained together. And as long as they have separation between them, they're still going to turn really hard. And that's what we're seeing in the velocity signatures right now.
And so, yeah, and you're exactly right there. And Jonathan, let's go back over to reflectivity. Show the big picture, because if you're watching in Oklahoma City right now or in central Oklahoma, and you're saying, where are our storms? When do they come in? They are these right here. They've already developed. And so they're all moving up to the northeast here. So these storms that you see west of Memphis, down by Childress, these are going to be moving up to the northeast. So we have Buck and Hollis right now. He's keeping a close eye on these storms. These storms that we have, we'll just say north of I-40, those are going to have Woodward, Enid, Ponca City written on them. They're all moving up to the northeast here, and so they're headed in your direction. But for Oklahoma City, we have to look down into extreme southwestern Oklahoma for our storms to come in. That's where they're coming from. They're still deep into the Texas Panhandle, but they will arrive by 9 and 10 o'clock here. And eventually, this entire line is just going to basically run vertical north to south here. But ahead of it, these are actually two separate tornado warnings. So we have one that's going to be just south of Arnett. That's the northern warning. That's what Shane is on. Then we have the southern warning that Chris Lee is on right now near Cheyenne. And actually, I do want to talk to Chris here in just a moment because he is in Oklahoma right now. Chris, you're on what we're calling right now our southern tornado warning. Chris, give us an update on what you're seeing.
Yeah, it's coming across the border now towards the town of Sweetwater. We're on 152. That you see that in my roof camera shot. It is that's looking to the west. The storm is right over 152. The area we're looking at is just to the south of that of the road, coming to the northeast. So we've been kind of watching this storm. Michael was showing you the lowering just a little bit. That's the same storm. It's moved off of I-40 and now coming a little bit north as it moves east. But it is moving very rapidly, and you can see a lot of lightning with it. So we're getting a pretty good view of what it's doing. Don't see anything on the ground right now, but it's certainly showing a lot of rotation on radar and some pretty good size hail and wind with it also, Damon.
Yeah, and so with this storm moving up to northeast, and Chris, we're looking at your picture here, we see a lot of lightning, but we don't see a lot of daylight. There's not a lot of daylight left out here in western Oklahoma. It's still February. Sun still sets earlier. If this were April or May, it'd be completely different. The sun would be up until 8 o'clock, and we'd have a lot of good visuals here. But now it's all about the lightning and what the lightning can illuminate up into sky here. But where we're watching again right now is going to be out towards eventually Dempsey, Cheyenne, and Sweetwater. That's the circulation right there, southeast of Wheeler. That's why this warning was issued for Oklahoma. The southern warning, by the way, was issued for Oklahoma because of that right there. There's another area that we're watching right now west of Roll that's on the northern warning. So these are two separate tornado warnings that we have ongoing right now out towards Roger Mills, Beckham County here. So watching this one right here, and Shane Helton's coming in on the north side of this. And I know northwestern Oklahoma, you've been wanting rain. Now we're in the time of the year where if you want rain, it usually comes in with a risk for severe weather, and that's exactly what we see here. Look at this storm track that we have up to the northeast. Leedy at 710, Visay 722, and then Sealing at 739. Let's check in with Shane Helton. Shane, give us an update on what you're seeing.
So, Damon, we've gone through quite a bit of rain, some of it heavy, some of it light. But, you mentioned that we need the rain out here, and people have been talking about it, how badly we need the rain. And then when they found out that there was a severe weather threat today, some of the folks I talked to said, well, I guess that's just what it's going to take to get some rain out here, because we are desperately needing rain. There are some areas out here that have had very, very little rain, and the fire danger has been very high. Several days we've had high fire danger. So we are still moving south. We are, let's see here. We're almost to Roger Mills County. So we're going to be moving in front of this here rather quickly. And we're actually at almost a pack saddle, which is right on the north side of the South Canadian River Bridge. So we are about 8 miles south of Arnett. So we're heading south, and we're going to get right up there with that storm and try and see what's going on inside the storm, and then right there on the backside where there could be some rotation, and that's where the warning was issued from. So we're heading that way. Fast as we can get there. Damon, back to you.
Hey, we'll be safe out on the roads here. We can see it's dark out here, and so these storms, they are moving quickly, and wind is going to be the main story for tonight, both ahead of the storm, during the storm, and then behind the storm. So ahead of the storm, we're seeing winds right now gusting 30 to 45 miles per hour. Those winds stretching across central and into western Oklahoma are pulling in a lot of moisture, and so with the winds coming in like this, that is going to help these storms rotate even more so as they cross out of Texas and into western Oklahoma. So here we are tracking this southern tornado warning. We're calling it right now and just looking at the velocity couplet very close to what appears to be the community in Texas of Kelton, but that is going to be just west of Sweetwater. Sweetwater at 6:55. That is 10 minutes from now. Berlin at 7:09. And then we go into Cheyenne at 7:10. Hammond at 7:23. Morwood, 7:27, Leedy at 7:30. Right now it's 6:45. That's 45 minutes from now. But this storm continues to rotate, and give it just a few more minutes and it will be in Oklahoma. But it is still technically in Texas. The warning, though, extends into Oklahoma because it needs to. I mean, this storm is rotating, and there are some powerful winds within this cell right here. Michael is going to be on I-40, and we'll check in with Michael in just a moment. Let's check back in with Chris Lee. Chris, give us an update on what you're seeing.
Yeah, Damon, we're losing light here, but as in the dying light, you can kind of see this lowered area. We're about a mile or two west of Sweetwater, looking towards the border, and this is that storm. This is that area rotation you've been looking at, and I've been watching it. I can see it. There's enough light for me to see that whole area is kind of rotating, and yeah, it's an inflow area into the storm. Don't see anything lowered, anything coming into the ground, but this is what's going to come. It looks like it may possibly go just north of Sweetwater. It's going to come very close to Sweetwater as it comes further to the east, and it is rapidly moving our way. And of course, it's also rapidly getting darker as we see as it gets closer. So it's a little hard to see what's going on. I'm looking to see more clouds to my south here, but the area I was looking at, very concerned with, is just over 152. Looks like it's just coming across the border now, Damon.
Yeah, and so an update to pass along. So the northern warning has been canceled. The southern warning that Chris is on and Michael are on, and this is just continuing to get even stronger. This one remains. And the velocity couplet within this is ramping up. The last radar scan that just went by is getting even brighter and brighter. Jonathan, highlighting that storm, putting it up to the northeast, really concerned about that cell.
Absolutely concerned. That's why I highlighted there. It's a very tight area of circulation. Now, that being said, the radar that I'm hitting it with, we're looking a lot higher up. I am not looking at ground level. That's kind of the problem with western Oklahoma. Whether any of the radars here in Oklahoma City, earth curves. It doesn't matter. You cannot turn that radar beam down low enough to hit it at the ground level. As these storms get closer to Oklahoma City, we'll look lower down and see the circulations in much more refined detail. But the problem is I'm shooting way up. We're probably at 8,000 to 10,000 feet up. But that's a really good signature. Chris Lee is right there. Veteran storm chaser, he's in a perfect spot. I mean, literally, Chris can be in a better spot. It's going to be backlit with the lightning. He is due east. He's in a safe spot. He has an escape route south. He's got a great highway to blast east to kind of stay with it. And so he's in a really good spot. Kind of get some rolling hills out there. So, but if he sees anything, yeah, I mean, he'll be able to see maybe, it's something backlit with the lightning. That's the sad thing. Sunset today was at 6:23. Twilight goes a half hour past that, and we are entering into the time now that our chasers will start using night vision, also their eyes at night, in looking for those cones or looking for those funnels. So you can see that area circulation just changed a little bit. Does that mean a trend down? Not necessarily. It just means that the latest scan of the radar that came through just saw a little bit lower velocities, but we're going to have to watch it really closely. Again, very grateful. Western Oklahoma, very hard to track storms with radar because of the distance of the radar, but our chasers are in a perfect position. And we have these storms covered. I mean, Chris Lee's on it, and you got Shane to the north, Michael's on the south. And again, what we'll have to do is just kind of watch for these storms to evolve. And one thing that I feel as if we'll have to watch any of these storms in Oklahoma. Like, for example, this storm up near Fort Supply, that one could start to rotate. It's got a severe thunderstorm warning on it. Is there enough separation between the Fort Supply storm and the Arnett storm, the first tornado warning, the northern tornado warning that was canceled that Shane is in right now? Is there enough separation that these storms can rotate? The winds are absolutely conducive for that. The jet stream is absolutely conducive for that. So I would not be surprised, just tornado warning potentially for the northern storm. But again, Damon, down the line, look how much robust these storms are. They're robust, they're stronger, and the areas of strong circulation. And there's two of them lined up. The one Michael's in a tornado warning, and Buck is just west of a tornado warning. So we have one tornado warning in the state right now, but I think that's going to go up here in the next couple minutes.
Oh, yeah. And that one just popped up there for Wellington. And so I want to hit the message as hard as I can that as these storms move into western Oklahoma, the environment is going to be much more favorable for these storms to continue to increase and rotate. And so we're going to see a lot of tornado warnings tonight. We're also going to see a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings, but they're not going to be your everyday severe thunderstorm warnings that we get here in Oklahoma. These are going to be much higher in severe thunderstorm warnings that mention the threat of winds 90 miles per hour, 110 miles per hour, especially as these storms continue to move to the east here. So ahead of it, I know it has been a cool day, but we're going to call this just-in-time recovery, and this atmosphere was able to recover just in time. And look at the track that Jonathan's putting on this. 75 miles per hour. That is unheard of speed in Oklahoma. I absolutely mean that. I'm not being facetious here. When we talk about severe weather in Oklahoma, it's usually 20, 30, 40 miles per hour. But what it takes to bring this speed up to 75 miles per hour is just incredible. So Eric, 719, Willow at 728, Carter Sayre about 730, Granite 733, Elk City with this southern line here, 742. And what Jonathan has it in right here will be the rotation. You're looking at the winds inside of the storm. Tonight, it is all about the winds, whether it's tornadic, whether it's straight line. We are talking about some extremely powerful winds that will knock out power. The only question right now that we have for tonight is how many of us will lose power tonight. This is going to be a night where you need to make sure that if you have a battery pack, that is charged up as much as it can. If you don't have one, make sure you charge your phone up because we'll still be on air when you lose power tonight with these storms coming in here. And it's not going to be a late night. It's not like you're going to wake up at midnight or 1 or 2 o'clock with storms. I mean, right now it's not even 7 o'clock, but these storms will be well into eastern Oklahoma by midnight here. So we are seeing an area of spin, by the way, with this cell still ongoing, coming out of Texas Panhandle now crossing into Oklahoma. This is Sweetwater right here, where we have Chris Lee. We'll see if we can check in with Chris Lee here in just a moment. But Chris Lee is going to be just a stone's throw away from that cell. So let's go out to Chris right now. Chris, watching your storm, it continues to rotate as it's now coming into Oklahoma. Chris, give us an update on what you're seeing.
Yeah, we're just on the west side of Sweetwater, starting to pick up the winds out of that. You can see the winds whipping the debris kind of around us here, just some plant stuff. I saw kind of a lowering that went across the highway to our north, look like it's going to go to the north of Sweetwater, but I've also seen it's getting very difficult to see because we've lost all daylight now, and I can only see in lightning flashes, but there appeared to be an area that looked like a lowering off to the south west, kind of in that area. Maybe saw that last lightning flash, kind of what I was looking at. I can't really tell if it's anything, but we're watching this whole area, and of course the storm is just now hitting us, so we're going to have to move back to the east with it to kind of stay out in front and not get into the precip.
So brand new, by the way, and Chris, we're watching your stream here, and so there's just a lot going on in the Weather Center right now. So brand new severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado tag has now been issued for Beckham, Greer, Harmon, Jackson, and Roger Mills County. Right now, looking at winds to 90 miles per hour with that. So 90 mile an hour winds, a tornado tag, but this warning right here is now warned for 90 mile per hour winds. And we're not done yet. I know 90 is way up there, but we're going to go even higher than 90. I would not be surprised if we see warnings coming in tonight that say with the threat of winds up to 110 miles per hour. This is a derecho that is now developing. That's not a made-up weather term. A derecho is a legit weather term that these type of storms can do a tremendous amount of damage. The last one that I believe we had in the United States was back in 2021. It impacted Iowa. It was over $1.1 billion in damage, a lot of crop damage there because it struck in July. And so these can do a lot of damage, widespread wind damage, and that's what we're watching closely. So Chris Lee's watching this cell closely. Storm Command down just on I-40. Michael, give us an update on what you're seeing.
Yeah, Damon, the warning here is pretty substantial, as you mentioned, 90-mile-an-hour winds, but the storm itself is moving at 95. Now imagine, we are going to do everything we can to keep up with this storm, but a storm moving at 95 miles per hour will make it quickly down I-40 into central Oklahoma, and we have been seeing some really gusty winds right here. We're just almost right on the Texas border right here near Eric. I'm going to bring the camera around into the dark here, and you'll see the lightning behind me. Look at that. Oh, my gosh, the lightning is just incredible with this storm, and that is what is coming directly toward us here in Beckham County. So Eric, Sayre, Elk City, you need to prepare for winds in excess of 90. There have already been winds recorded over 100 in the Texas Panhandle. Not like estimated, actually measured.
Michael, we actually see that right now in Memphis, Texas, where one of their weather stations that belongs to the West Texas Mesonet there, 100 I guess you got to double check. 114 miles per hour, I believe is what it said. But that right there is just incredible. So we have there's a lot now that's beginning to just kind of unfold across western Oklahoma. So whether it's tornadic or whether it's straight line, it's all going to produce the same kind of damage, and that's going to be trees, shingle damage. If you have a west-facing window tonight when these storms are coming in, stay away from west-facing windows because these storms are going to be blowing in some extremely strong westerly winds. So here's the circulation, by the way. It's now in Oklahoma. Let's check in with Chris Lee. I want to check in with Chris Lee because here's your tornado warning that's going to be just north of Sweetwater, southwest of Dempsey. Chris, give us an update on what you're seeing.
Yeah, we are seeing that lowering. It is moved to the north of Sweetwater. We are now east of Sweetwater, kind of looking back behind us. You can kind of see an awful lot of lightning and that lowered area. Don't see anything that is towards the ground, at least not in that particular area. But this storm has been holding together for quite some time, and it is very, very potent. So as it keeps moving into Oklahoma, we're going to keep following. We're headed, as Michael was saying, we got to keep moving pretty rapidly to stay on front of it. We're on 152, headed towards the Elk City area.
And just so you know, and just a heads up for Chris, for Shane, for Michael, for Buck, for Nick, for Derek, for all of our chasers that are out on these storms right now, watching these, the next hour is going to be just incredible in western Oklahoma, where we are seeing all the parameters are just now going off the charts. I mean, they are just climbing as these storms are coming in. As we mentioned, western Oklahoma, the environment here is just prime for some significant severe weather. And I'm trying to hit the message as hard and also be as real as I can about this. We're not just using big words and adjectives here to try to blow these storms up here. I mean, no, these are real stats inside these storms. 114 mile per hour recorded wind gusts in Memphis, Texas. We have these storms moving at 95 miles per hour. That is incredible. I mean, I have never seen a storm move that fast at 95 miles per hour. So just want to keep that in the back of your mind. You know how fast these storms are going to come in. They're not going to last that long, but they will last pretty long here. Let's go back over to reflectivity if we can. And I want to jump down the line here to the southern flank, because if you're watching in Oklahoma City right now and you're saying, what do I need to know? What's coming in my direction? These storms right here. And so this is going to be the next line here. Let me talk to Buck. Let me give Buck a heads up on what's coming in his direction. So, Buck, a heads up. These storms are moving at 95 miles per hour. Recorded winds, and they're about 90. And so, Buck, what do you see west of you? I know the sun is set, but Buck, give us an update on what you see coming into Oklahoma.
Yeah, I can definitely tell you how fast it's coming towards me because we've been trying to stay in front of it, and we can't hardly stop and get turned around to get a good look before we need to move again. But as I use a 360 camera here with this great technology, we can still see behind us as we're moving, and you can see that the lightning has really intensified. And, we've got a couple of tornado warnings right here around us. We've had a pretty good view of the base of the storm, and we haven't really seen anything hanging down. Definitely no wall clouds, and maybe a funnel here and there, but nothing that looked real serious. But this storm is really picking up speed, and it's moving into the Hollis area in about the next 15 minutes. Back to you.
Okay, be safe out there. Again, Buck, I know you've been chasing for a long time, but these storms, they are moving quickly, and so the area of rotation, you can see it. And what's happening here is we're actually having multiple areas of circulations here, but eventually these winds are just going to push out. And so, but again, this is a tornado warning. It's going to be coming for Harmon County, by the way. I believe it's coming. It's going to be out any moment here because of this storm that's moving so incredibly fast here. So I keep stepping off here just to get the latest. So here is your next tornado warning. So now we have a new tornado warning. This is for Greer and Harmon County. This one has slowed down to 75 miles per hour, which is still incredibly fast. But again, 75 mile per hour forward speed with this storm right here. And that continues to move to the east here. So here it is. Here's Buck. So this is going to include Reed, Russell, west of Mangum. So that area is rotating. This area is rotating as well down here, down by Dodson. So again, just moving to the east at 75 miles per hour. So Arnett at 708, Mangum 730, Blair, Granite, at 7:37, and then Lone Wolf here at 7:43. If we can switch over to reflectivity mode just to give those an idea as to how bright these storms look. We're looking at the winds inside of the storms right now, but this is what it looks like. And when you start seeing black popping up on our radar, that's a good indication that we are now basically maxing out what our radar can see within this storm. And so there's some hail in this. There's not a lot of hail. Right now I believe this storm is going to be warned for up to golf ball size hail, but again, the main threat will be winds coming in with this. So there's Buck. Again, he's going to be just southwest of Russell, east of Hollis. Storm moving to the east-northeast, and it's this southern line that would likely impact Oklahoma City. And so in a lot of the data that we've been looking at over the last couple of days showed some incredible just rotating storm tracks that were going to come into southwestern Oklahoma and up to the northeast. And this line extends all the way down past Childress. There's Memphis, by the way. This storm is the storm that produced 114 mile per hour wind gusts, which, wow, that's just incredible. Usually when you see something like that, it's because a tornado blew right through it. And I believe it's probably because of straight line winds. Jonathan, watching this storm, we have Buck on this, we have Chris, we have Shane, we have Michael. Jonathan, I feel like at some point in the next hour, this entire line is just going to be tornado warned.
So I'm going to just do a real simple storm track here so everybody can, let's go back to radar and show everybody what I'm talking about. So let's say right now the tail end Charlie, this tornado warning that Buck is looking at is moving at 75 miles an hour. So let's go air high, that's 80. So right there, let's mark it. That's where that storm's going to be in an hour. All right, let's add another 80, and let's assume same storm movement at about 80, even though we know the storms, we've had times, parts of the storms accelerating out, moving up to 90 miles an hour. So we're about 2 hours out at 80 miles an hour for tail end Charlie. So here it is, 7:03. OKC, we have a little bit of time. I would say this, wherever you're going to shelter tonight, get there. You do not want to be in the warning and go, oh, tornado action plan, let's drive to our friend's house. Nope. Or grandma's house. Nope. In-laws' house. Nope. I want you to go there now. I want you to go there now, and I want you to ride that. You don't have to be in your shelter right now, but I want you to be at your shelter. I want you to get to your shelter location so you're not stressed out about this. So, Damon, this is going to happen really quick. This is going to be a major, significant event. We're going to have big swaths of damaging winds and embedded tornadoes in there. We really ramping up, Damon.
It is. And just a heads up, so a tornado watch will be issued for central Oklahoma very, very soon. As we mentioned before, we knew that there were going to be multiple watches issued. So expect that your phones are going to go off very soon for a tornado watch that will include a good portion of central Oklahoma here. So again, the Storm Prediction Center typing that out right now. Easy to see why. Tornado watch, western Oklahoma, and these storms are just going berserk here. So leading, there's Shane. We'll check in with Shane. Let's check in with Shane right here. We're just going to go down this entire line of storms here. So, Shane, tornado warning continues for you with this cell moving up towards eventually Visay in Sealing. It's just south of you, Shane. Give us an update on what you're seeing.
Yeah, Damon, we are on the north side of this storm, or actually the northeast side of the storm. We are right in its path. The actual line that it shows on our map where the storm is going to be crossing is right where we are at right now. So we are just east of Roll. I'm going to say we're about 7 or 8 miles east of Roll. Anyways, I want to say this, though. We know that the winds are really, really high. We know it's dark, and we know that Chris Lee was reporting a little while ago that there was some sort of a lowering or something in that storm. My daughter lives just west of Sweetwater, right on the Oklahoma state line, right just a mile west of Oklahoma state line in Texas. They lost electricity when that storm was going by. So we don't know why they lost electricity, but we do know that the winds are really high. We know that the tornado threat is up there quite a ways. So no matter what, folks, you've got to be ready for this. If you're going to get out and drive and go to a shelter, do it now. Don't wait for these storms to get there. I would suggest that you take some games or something. Go play some games at the storm shelter or whatever. Be prepared before that storm gets there. And folks, once the storms get there, they're going to be moving super fast once you get that warning. There's no time after that. So take it easy, Oklahoma. Keep a close eye on this. Damon, back to you.
Okay, Shane, be safe. You, Charlie, up in northwestern Oklahoma. So, again, watching these storms. And so we have another tornado warning coming out any moment now. So here it is right here, by the way. This one does include Elk City. So basically, you just see a lot of flashing red polygons here. We're going to show you exactly where the tornado is within each and every single part of this line. So here's one very close to Dodson, right on the border near, apparently there's another community named Arnett. 78 in Eric? Gussing. Okay, so there's another community called Arnett down in southwestern Oklahoma. And then you have this area right here. Wow. And so in Eric, you said 78 mile per hour wind gusts at the Mesonet site. So that is recorded. So there are a lot of communities that are going to be in the path of these storms. So Elk City, this is coming up in your direction. The warning does not include Elk City yet, but it is coming. So Eric to Hex to Sayre, that is the area of rotation. And once again, we have to zoom out just to be able to get the entire area under the speed of this warning. That's how fast these storms are moving. 722 for Delhi to Sayre, 727 Elk City at 739. Michael, we have worked many storms before, but tonight is going to be a night that we're going to remember for a very long time. Michael, give us an update on what you're seeing.
Right, Damon. I think one of the things that I'm seeing is we're transitioning from what we saw with the supercell storms earlier to more of embedded QLCS tornadoes, those quick spin-up tornadoes. And there's actually, I see at least 3, if not 4, possible QLCS tornadoes right now, looking at radar. One is just southwest of Texola. Another one is southwest of me that a brand new tornado warning was just issued on. It is in it's just in southwest Beckham County, barely. That's going to be moving up toward Eric and Sayre and Elk City. It's on a beeline for Sayre and Elk City. So you guys in Sayre and Elk City, listen, just go ahead and plan on taking your tornado precautions. Don't mess around with these storms. I'm telling you, you can just see in my shot right now, Damon, the winds out here are horrendous.
They are. And they're going to stay not only ahead of the storm, but even behind the storm itself. But, I mean, this is just one of those days that we are going to remember for a very long time in Oklahoma when it comes to the reports, when it comes to what we're going to see tomorrow morning when the sun comes up. And so we're just getting started. Now, these storms are going to blow in and out of here really quickly. And we are hoping that we can keep the damage threat as low as possible, but we know what these storms are capable of doing. We know what they're doing right now. And so my biggest concern will be that we're going to see a lot of power outages that are going to occur tonight, and we may be going into a situation where it's going to take days for the power to be restored here. Jonathan, let's go back over to reflectivity if we can. With this one right here, I believe I think we're switching radar modes here with this cell right here. But just look at the brightness, and you can just see the inflow that's coming into these storms. It's just incredible. And so moving to the east, so putting a storm track, and we have now 3 tornado warnings.
Yep. Let's start south and work north.
Yeah.
And I'll put a track on each one, Damon, because I know there's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
So let's go Tail and Charlie, and then we'll work our way north.
Good, yeah. And so here is what we'll just call this the southern tornado warning. And so we're switching radar modes right now, by the way, so we can get some better data inside. But this storm, it is rotating. That's the inflow. That's the hook moving to the east. Now, these storms are not going to look like the storms you see in the month of May, isolated supercells. These are going to be along a line, but what these storms are doing within this line are going to be doing things that we see out here in the month of May. They may not look like May, but they're doing May-like things here. So Mangum at 728, Granite at 734, Hobart at 747, Rocky at 751. This is going to be the storm that Buck is on. Let's get Buck on the phone if we can. I want to talk to Buck. We're going to talk to each one of our chasers as we work our way up the line here. So Buck, you're on the southern storm here. Confirmed, Buck, 114 mile per hour wind there in Memphis. Buck, give us an update on what you're seeing.
Yeah, we haven't quite got that yet, but we've had some high wind gusts definitely out in front of this line of storms that's moving into the Hollis area right now. if you're in Hollis, you're probably experiencing some of that wind right now, as well as some heavy rain and some intense lightning. Damon, we're probably 15 miles east of Hollis. We're having a real hard time staying in front of this storm. But with the 360 cam, we're still able to keep things, in sight. And I think you can probably see how intense the lightning is behind us here to the east of. Now we are just to the west of Duke. We're getting ready to pull into the town of Duke. And this continues to move at a very fast rate, and it continues to look very intense with the lightning in the background. Back to you.
Okay, be safe on this storm. Again, Buck, as it's moving up to the northeast, we see all the lightning. And so the storm that Buck is on and that Nick is headed down to right now, this is what's headed to Oklahoma City. So for those of you that have been watching us since we first came on air at 6 o'clock when these storms were 2 counties deep into Texas Panhandle, you're saying, okay, so what storm is the one that's going to impact me? This storm right here is the one that's going to impact the OKC metro. So, and that's the southern storm. You can see it goes all the way down to the south here. All of these storms are moving more northeast than east. Now, eventually they will begin to move a little bit more to the east as they move into central Oklahoma. The conditions for these storms to produce significant tornadoes is happening right now. As these storms move into central Oklahoma, the conditions for these storms to produce tornadoes will come down a little bit, but it's going to go from here to here. So it's not going to drop all the way down to 0. So we're still going to be watching for yet a tornadic threat here. Just look at that. Holy cow.
That's a very tight couplet, that southern storm is the worst circulation, and there's 3 more up the line, but this is really bad with this storm right here, just south of Vincent coming into Reed. That is a very tight circulation, and it's closer to the radar, so we have a really good sampling of it.
Yeah, wow, this is not what you want to see, and I mean that as serious as I can say it, because that right there, that's the tornado. That is a tight couplet. Let me check in with Michael right now. He's watching another couplet that is going to be south of Eric. If you're watching in Elk City, this storm is headed in your direction. Let's go out to Michael right now. Michael, give us an update on what you're seeing.
Yeah, this one is not as strong as far as the couplet and the inflow notch as the one down south, certainly. But we just had a wind gust, check this out, of 78 miles per hour just south of us, southeast of Eric. That was just moments ago. Damon, this storm is so dynamic, and there's going to be tornado-like damage even in areas that don't get tornadoes. That's what we're trying to tell people, is that this is an unusual storm. And, if you live in a mobile home, a manufactured home, there's a good chance it's not going to make it it's through some of these winds. You cannot afford to stay in one of those with 80, 100, 110 mile per hour winds. It will rip it apart.
Yeah, and we don't say that to bring fear into this, but we want you to know just what you need to prepare for. So not only what you just heard Michael say, but if your bedroom tonight, your child's room, your room, whatever, your kitchen, your family room that you're watching right now, if it has a west-facing window, get away when these storms are coming in. They're not going to last that long, and these are not storms that will keep you up all night, but we're going to have strong westerly winds that are coming in. So if you have a room that has east-facing windows, that will be a little bit better. So it's not great, but it's better than being with west-facing windows. Again, these are going to be blowing in, and the winds are going to continue to strengthen. And a lot of the data, yikes. I mean, that right there, I am concerned about that right there. South of Vincent, that is certainly concerning. Jonathan, what storm relative look like with this right here? South of Vincent. We're still switching the radar here, but what you see right here, that inflow notch right there, and you can literally see that storm rotating right there, moving to the east. This storm is what's coming into the OKC metro. This will come into the OKC metro. Now, will it be at this same intensity? We're hoping not, but you can't call this storm off until it's completely fizzled. And so as of right now, all projections are that this storm will be moving in between about western sides of the metro between 7:15, between about 8:30, 9 o'clock. I-35 right around 10 o'clock. That is when the storm is going to move in. We have had a tremendous amount of data rolling in for days now that was highlighting a very strong rotating couplet that was off the charts when it comes to the meteorological data that's coming in. The scientific data was saying this storm right here was going to be it. And so this right here is why we have a threat for significant tornadoes today. So that's what we are watching right here. This storm is very concerning to me, to all of us here, as it's headed to the east here and eventually towards Hobart. We'll go in order here. Granite, and then Hobart, up towards Gotebo, and eventually towards Carnegie. And at this current track, again, it's going to make its way up towards Oklahoma City. Now, if you're watching in Oklahoma City, will this storm be tornado warned when it comes in? The tornadic parameters will be decreasing, but as I mentioned before, we're going from here down to here. So it will be on a downward trend, but it's just a matter of how fast we can see it go on a downward trend. And we cannot call that until it's happening. So again, we're watching it. Here's the metro on the far right-hand side. If you're watching in Chickasha, if you're watching in Pauls Valley, again, the southern line here is what we are watching closely. Shane Helton will be in this tornado warning right here down by Leedy. Let's talk to Shane here. Shane, we're watching an area of rotation just south of you near Cheyenne. I know it's dark, Shane, but give us an update on what you're seeing.
Well, Damon, we stopped there on a hill, see if we could see anything, and it's raining, and it's just next to impossible to see very much. I mean, you can see a little ways, but not very far. However, one thing that was really weird is the wind stopped for just a brief moment. I don't know why it did that, Damon. It was right in front of the storm. It's not like that we was underneath the updraft or anything like that. It didn't come to a complete stop, of course, but it wasn't that real high wind gust like we've been seeing for quite some time. But it really dropped for a while, and then, of course, it's coming right back up. The rain is picking up as the stronger part of the cells is catching up to us, and it is definitely moving across the country here really fast. We're actually moving ahead of the storm again, so we can get back up here on another hill and start looking back towards the storm again. So, we don't want to see anything, as we're hoping that the storms do not cause any damaging stuff, but it's very possible it could, Damon. So we're just going to try and stay ahead of these storms and keep a close eye on them and kind of let you know where they're at. And as we move east through Roger Mills County, we are just we're getting close to Leedy too. So we're about I'm gonna say we're about 8 miles probably west of Leedy. Back to you, Damon.
Okay, be safe. And so an update with your storm, by the way, Shane, is that it's currently moving now at 50 miles per hour. So it has slowed down a little bit, but at this current track, Cheyenne to Leedy to Camargo, and eventually towards Chester, and then eventually downstream from there, making its way towards eventually Longdale. So that would stay, at least at this current track, it would make its way, again, across southern parts of Woodward County here. But still, these storms are moving very quickly. So there's a lot of news information. I want to send it over to the news desk, Jessica Shambach, real quick for an update.
Damon, just checking power outages for you right now. Out in Harmon County, we're seeing just over 1,000 customers without power. I know you said the power could be a big issue this evening. OG&E says they have hundreds of crews ready to go. But Damon, here's the deal. When winds are really strong, restoration times could be delayed because it's tough for those crews. They can't get up into the buckets in those bucket trucks to restore power. So it's important to make sure you have your things ready to go, your phones charged. Back to you, Damon.
Yeah, that's important information to pass along there. And again, even after the storms are over, we are still going to have some very strong winds gusting 50 to 55 miles per hour. Let's go back down to the southern line here. That is going to be west of Mangum, where we see this well-defined inflow notch with this storm, this tornado warning. And right now, this is the strongest storm in the state. Let's check in with Buck, just west of Reed. This couplet's coming in. Hopefully Reed is in their shelter. Buck, what are you seeing?
Damon, you're looking straight into the teeth of this lowering right here. And every once in a while, when the lightning hits it just right, you can see that it is lowering. It's getting closer to the ground. It's very difficult to tell whether there is a funnel yet, but it's definitely got that signature. that looks like it's trying to form one right now. This is just west of Mangum, and this is inside that tornado-warned storm. Back to you.
Wow, Buck, we can see your picture with crystal clear definition. Again, we can see that lowering. Also, a lot of lightning. Buck, you all be safe in there with this storm that's moving up to the northeast, but you can see that well-defined lowering. A lot of lightning, a lot of noise in these storms. So again, this is the storm right here. And so let's go full with this, and we'll put Buck's picture on the left-hand side to give those an idea as to where this is headed. So here is Altus. So Altus right now, this tornado warning is north of you. Now Altus, there are storms west of you. So you still have a risk that we're watching, but this is the area of rotation in between Vinson and Reed. Reed, this is about to move right over town. The community of Reed. Again, you're innermost room of your house. You're in your tornado shelter right now with this tornado warning moving to the east and moving pretty quickly. Once again, at speeds in excess of 60 miles per hour, almost 70 miles per hour. So it's headed to Reed. You have 1 minute. Reed with this storm coming in. Mangum 732, Granite 738, Lugert at 742, Hobart at 752, Cordell, Godebo shortly after 8 o'clock. Wow, I mean, when you see that red and that green, these are just the rotation within this storm. Jonathan, this supercell right here is just incredible. It's headed in the Reed any minute now, Jonathan.
It has really, I mean, I'm over here just really focusing on it with the radar, even though on the big picture here, and let's keep it full of their directors and production staff there's 3 areas of circulation, 1, 2, 3. The one north of Cheyenne, the one southwest of Sayre that Michael's looking at, and these are all interacting with each other, right? So they're throwing up rain, and some of the forward flanks, so the rain's throwing out ahead of it, can crush some of the storms, but they're all interacting. They have separation, so there's 3 solid tornado warnings, but very concerned about the southern storm here. That area of circulation, it's pretty significant, about 4 miles west of Reed, but the southern storm is moving a lot faster. That one is tracked here at 70 miles an hour, so you have no time. So really dangerous situation. One thing that I'm going to start to look for, Damon, our tornado debris tracker, if this does hit anything and anything gets lifted up into the beam, that dual pole technology with the radar, we'll be able to see that. I don't see that right now, but if you hear me say, hey, tornado debris signature, I start saying that, that's what we're kind of trying to communicate to everybody. Now, the circulation there is not as tight, but I would put it, honestly, now right here, about 1 mile north of Reed. But also, Damon, so that's area of circulation. You're still going to have strong winds potentially in the backside, even with like that rear flank downdraft wind kind of coming back around. So it's not going to be a tight little area of damaging winds. It's going to be a larger swath of damaging winds with higher end winds. So imagine you have a line of damaging winds all with the storm, and then right in the middle of the storm, if there's a tornado in there, that's where you have your concentrated high-end winds, tornadic winds, obviously.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, though, here, we're all just looking at some significant wind damage, whether it's tornadic or whether it's straight line. By the way, if you know anyone at the OKC Thunder game tonight, these storms will be blowing in as people should be walking out of the arena tonight. Stay put. If you know anyone there, text them and just say, hang tight, and we'll let you know. Let's go back out to Buck. Buck, what do you have?
Damon, right in the center of my shot, you can see this is trying to produce a tornado right now. If you're in the Mangum area and you're not in your storm shelters, you need to head to that direction at this time. This continues to get lower to the ground. I can't confirm that there's anything on the ground, and we can't see underneath it because the lightning is not very well, but you can see the well-pronounced funnel shape underneath this storm right here. Back to you.
Okay, yeah, Buck, we definitely see that. And there's going to be, so we have that tornado warning there for some pretty large hail. Confirmed tornado, by the way, with this storm. So, and again, Buck, you just heard Buck mention it. There it is right there. I mean, I know it is dark, and so it's February, sunset about an hour ago, but that right there is a large tornado that is going to be in this storm right now that Buck is showing you live here on KOCO 5. The data that we have coming in easily supports it. We see it on the radar. I mean, this storm, it is rotating, and it is rotating hard. And this storm is headed up to the northeast, headed towards Oklahoma City. A lot of the data that we've been watching lately has been continuing to say that this was going to be the storm that was going to lay down a long rotation track from southwestern and into central Oklahoma. This right here is why we had our tornado index at a moderate for today, because of this right here. And so that storm continues to rotate. Here it is right here. So again, Mangum, granted, you're in your shelter right now with this storm quickly racing up to the northeast. Same thing from Hobart to Babs, to Rocky, to Dill City, to Cordell, 7:52, 8 o'clock. Bessie, Mountain View, shortly after 8 o'clock with this storm racing in. And again, if you look in the middle here, there is a tornado that will be within this. This is a confirmed tornado with this storm moving up to northeast and moving fast. You got to look real close to there at times, but again, it will be in there. So this is a serious storm. We're going to go back down to this storm, but I want to go up to also the Elk City area for those that are watching in Elk City and check in with Storm Command, give them an update on the storms that are coming in this direction. Michael, give us an update on what you're seeing.
Yeah, at this point, David, what we're seeing was just tremendous lightning behind us, first of all, and the rain is blowing in sideways. So you've got strong winds. We've got wind gusts to 50 out of the south. Well ahead of the storms. Before the storm even gets there, you're going to hear your windows probably rattling a little bit. It's going to be nothing compared to what it's like when these storms move through. So, yes, we are going to be dealing with this embedded tornado risk. And really what we have is, just so you guys know, we have this meso-low. We have a kind of a really, really intense low-pressure system. All of it is rotating over a very large area, but what it's going to do is enhance the wind damage potential. So even if you don't get a tornado, you could get some incredible winds with that feature, and that extends over several miles, Damon.
Michael, you're spot on there. And so we are working so many different storms right now, but they are all tornado warned. And so listening to Michael there, for those that are in western Oklahoma, right along I-40. So that's the latest with that storm. We'll check back in with Michael. We're going to check in with all of our crews every few minutes here. So brand new tornado warning has just been issued. This goes until 8:15, 45 minutes, and it goes up towards Cordell, Lake Valley, Godibo, Hobart, Sentinel. Look at the speed here that Jonathan's putting this down at, 70 miles per hour. That's it right there. So Reed, it's now east of you, moving towards Hobart at 7:52, Dill City 7:57, Cordell at 8:03, Godibo 8:03 as well, and then down towards Bessie at 8:06. This confirmed tornado with this cell right here, northeast of Reed, moving up to the northeast towards eventually Willow. So that's the latest with that. Let's go back up. Let's go to the northern storm. We'll go up to where Shane Helton is, get an update for those that are in the Leedy Ceiling area. Same thing for Taloga. Shane, give us an update on what you're seeing.
Well, Damon, I just now got on. Well, I've got a Dewey County deputy here with me, and he told me that they are sounding the sirens in Leedy for just in case reasons because of this storm that's coming up, heading straight towards Leedy. So if you are in Leedy, go ahead and take your storm precautions. The sheriff's department wants you in their shelters now. You are in a tornado warning anyways. In fact, remember, you don't have time to take off and go to a public storm shelter. If you do not have a place to shelter right now, you need to go to your center room in your house. Keep as many walls between you and the outside of the building you're in, which means maybe a closet, an interior bathroom, something like that. Not a room with a bunch of windows, not a room with a bunch of glass or anything like that. You need to be in a room with many, many walls between you and the outside. Now, we are sitting here we're at what they used to call the Leedy Beer Joint. We're right here on the south side of Leedy, and we're watching this storm very, very closely. And this is actually right off of Highway 34 and Highway, let's see, I can't see the other highway on my map. But we are just right here on the south side of Leedy, watching to the southwest as this comes up towards us. But it's just raining, moderate rain right now, so we're not seeing a whole lot coming in. We can see when the lightning flashes, we can see for several miles, and so far we haven't seen anything yet. So We're keeping an eye on it, though. Back to you, Damon.
All right, be safe. You and Charlie both be safe with these storms coming in. So this is a picture from Shane. This is the area. Let's go full with the radar real quick, and I want to show exactly where we're looking at. Again, this area of rotation moving up to the northeast. This warning goes for another 15 minutes. So Tologa to Sealing, and then up towards extreme southeastern parts of Woodward County, just barely south of Woodward. Now, this storm still concerns me quite a bit. And so let's go out to Buck right now. Buck, what do you have?
Damon, I'm fairly confident that this is on the ground right now, just directly to my north. It's still pretty faint to see, but you can see a lot of dirt getting sucked up from underneath when the lightning hits just right. And this is just to my north. But this is that confirmed tornado storm that we've been talking about for the last 5 or 6 minutes. And it has been down, significantly. It's roped out a couple of times. You've been able to see that. But this is the first time that I'm pretty confident that there's a tornado on the ground.
Okay, yeah, Buck, and by the way, you have a noisy storm there, so that noise that you just heard from Buck, that right there is headed up to the northeast. So for OKC, Buck and Nick watching this storm very closely for you. Again, let's go back over to the radar, probably seeing at least multiple areas of circulation. So there's one right there. That is going to be north of Mangum and just west of 283, and then another one that's going to be about a mile or two northwest of that. But what we see here is just this line beginning to bow out, which whether it's tornadoes or whether it's winds, it's all going to create the same type of damage path. And that is just significant damage with at least these powerful winds that are coming in. And so I believe this warning is now up to 90 miles per hour. Wind. Would not be surprised. This is going to be the storm that if it goes up to 110, this is it right here, moving up to the northeast. So with that storm right here, Mangum 735, Hobart 752, Gotebo at 803, storm movement east at about 75 miles per hour. That's just incredible speed with these storms moving up to the northeast here. And again, what you're looking at right here, these are the winds inside of the storms. And so being able to see these strong winds, you're going to have strong winds leading up around 50 miles per hour, winds inside of the storm that will peak at about 110 miles per hour, and then winds behind the storm that will last for about 3 hours tonight that will be around 50 to 55 miles per hour. Earlier we were talking to Jessica, and she was telling us that OG&E cannot go out and begin to repair some of the power poles that are down until the winds have come down. We know there's damage in Sayre, so we know there are some power poles that are down in Sayre. So Mangum, this is east and north of you, but Willow, again, the community of Willow, in your shelter right now, same thing if you're east of Mangum. Let's check in with Chris Lee, by the way, when we get an opportunity to, because I know he's going to be out across western Oklahoma as well. So, by the way, brand new tornado watch has just been issued for OKC, all of central Oklahoma. That goes until 1 a.m. So there's a lot that's now developing. Here you see it right now. So western Oklahoma is 9. Central Oklahoma is now until 1 a.m. So here's a new watch. Look how far east it goes now. It's unless you're in southeastern Oklahoma or Guymon and Boise City, you are now in a tornado watch. To see the entire state almost, with the exception of a few counties, not in a tornado watch, that's incredible. Just in this February, by the way. And this is not just your low wind tornado threat day. We're talking about a higher end day, but also a much higher end day for strong straight line winds. Let's go back over to the radar and let's get Chris Lee on. Chris Lee's going to be in Elk City. Chris, out to you we go. Chris, give us an update on what you're seeing.
Yeah, we are in Elk City. Very strong winds ahead of this. Jason, we're going the wrong way. You got to do a U-turn. It's very interesting, as we've been talking about all day. We're a little bit ahead of the storm, but we get winds much. The winds have been very strong. Just as the storm comes in, we'll get winds. Front of the winds, the inflow is like sometimes it's trying to blow the truck straight sideways. It's just very, very strong winds, and right now we're not seeing any kind of rotation in our area, but we're kind of between two storms right now and trying to make it back to the east ahead of them. Back to you.
Okay, yeah, and watching this again, this is going to be the situation here that is going to be up in the, if you're going to be up near Elk City, Chris Lee's watching it closely for you. So that is the story there. And again, there's just, Jonathan, you were just mentioning, look, there are so many circulations within this. Jonathan, what do you have?
This is a nightmare, Damon. So I have areas of circulation that I've highlighted in blue, okay, that may have potential tornadoes. And then here's what I'm really worried about, Damon. This is going to be the beginning of the derecho. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to highlight the line, and on the leading edge here, when this bows out, this is where you're going to have a wide swath of significant wind damage, all right? And I think the warning for so basically we have a tornado warning inside a very significant severe thunderstorm warning. So in the whole warning, which is the big yellow box, that's 80-mile-per-hour damaging wind gusts and ping pong ball size hail, moving east at 75. Look how the radar beam just updated. In one scan of the radar, the offset of the beam and the velocity is like, 3 miles? That is huge. One concern I have, look at these winds on the leading edge right here near Luger, those wind velocities. This tell me the bowing start. This is a derecho, this is a bow echo, and I'm really concerned that this is going to start to be that big nose swath of damaging winds. Then on this, what we'll end up having, so really bad winds from Granite to Blair, and then on the northern side of this, you may have a tornado, then transient areas of rotation on the southern edge of shear. Okay, I'm very worried about this, Damon. Again, I understand with the National Weather Service, we have the big polygon. This is the big warning. This is massive. I don't know how many counties. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 10 counties are involved in this. That's for 80-mile-per-hour winds. That's going to be for very significant wind damage. Then embedded in that, you're going to have the tornado warning. So this is really ramping up, Damon. Very concerned about this.
It absolutely is. And so we're watching these, and these are going, this right now is the strongest storm in the state. Not even close. I mean, this right here, this is just ramping out. And when you see this backwards looking sea right here, you have just some extremely powerful winds that are now wrapping in on the backside of this. So whether it's tornadic or straight line winds, the threat for power outages and window damage is certainly on the rise. Let's check back in with Buck. Buck, give us an update on what you're seeing.
Yeah, Damon, you can probably tell on my 360 cam, we got into a strong 80, probably 80-plus mile-per-hour winds for a little bit. We had some blowing dust, and it's really skunked up my 360 cam. But we have been able to find a low-lying area here and look back into the storm that we were looking at, and I'm not seeing nearly the storm structure that I saw just a few minutes ago. We are just to the west side of Altus, and the winds have not really got here yet, so we've been able to get back out in front of it. We're going to stay in front of it and keep looking back at it and track this thing all the way into the metro. Keep your eyes on us, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
And speaking of this storm coming into the metro, that's coming in the next 90 minutes to 2 hours. And so for anyone looking, by the way, that includes Anadarko, about an hour, Chickasha, Norman, down towards Pauls Valley. You're including this as well, as we just put a much larger storm track on this, going to the east here at about 75 miles per hour. You can see everyone in the path of here. So Hawker at 743, Hobart 751, Rocky at 756, Godibo at 8 o'clock. So right now it's almost 740, and this line of just powerful winds is coming in to the northeast. I would not be surprised if we see school outages, school cancellations for tomorrow because of the power outages that these storms will create tonight. And OG&E will have a much harder time beginning to do their repairs, and they have to wait until the winds come down. Even behind the storm, we have a high wind warning. Winds 50 to 55 miles per hour for 3 hours. So that's going to take us after midnight before the winds begin to settle down here. So bottom line is that we have just, there's a lot of hazards that are all going to be tied to wind tonight with this storm right here, Godibo to Willow, just some powerful winds coming in right now. And this entire complex right here is beginning to bow out. And so moving up to the northeast, and they are moving quickly. They are moving quickly. So Central Oklahoma, tornado watch just issued just moments ago until 1 a.m. We told you earlier this afternoon, you will see a tornado watch. No doubt about it. And so that happened. So here we are now. Our tornado watch is now in effect. until 1 a.m. for central Oklahoma. Storms are going to blow in much faster than that. I mean, by 1 a.m., these storms are going to be well off to the east here. So watching these strong winds right now impacting Granite, Mangum, and as you make your way down to southwest, moving up to the northeast. Let's go back up towards the I-40 area. We're going to work our way up the line here because this entire line is just flashing all sorts of bright colors here. Let's check in with Storm Command in Elk City. Michael, give us an update on what's happening in Elk City right now.
Okay, Damon. Yeah, you can just see all the rain here on our 360 cam. Just a tremendous, tremendous cloud of ground lightning right now coming in toward Elk City. There's a lot of folks that are at gas stations parked under the awnings. Listen, those awnings may get destroyed by some of these winds, at least in pockets, not maybe on the entire line, but as the storm eventually kind of makes its way a little bit further north, I think we're going to see some embedded tornado potential continue along I-40 from Elk City all the way toward Clinton, Weatherford, and eventually it's going to make a little bit more progress to the north, which will eventually bring it into El Reno and to the metro. And I know we're still probably a couple of hours from that, but I got to tell you, man, this is really intense, and it is hard to stay ahead of it. We had to stop for gas just now, and I mean, I look up and I'm going, oh my gosh, this thing is almost on us already. So it's just, you just don't have much time with this storm.
You know, you're right, Michael. You do not have much time at all with this storm because of just the incredible speed that this storm is moving right now. Even ahead of the storm, we're seeing winds gusting well over 50 and 60 miles per hour. So these are fast-moving storms that are going to produce a significant amount of damage in swaths as we go into the evening here. So this right here, again, this tornado warning goes all the way up towards Carnegie. And so this is going to be north of Altus here down by Luger. So moving to the east, this is in Mountain View at 8:09, and then Carnegie 8:15, and then Fort Cobb at 8:23. Jonathan, let's go up to the north. Let's check in. Let's give an update for those in the Woodward area. We have Shane Helton up there, and want to give an update for this warning that we have. So here's Shane near Leedy. So you can see our rotation tracker, not nearly as vibrant, but there's a lot of storms up here, and this tornado warning remains until 8:30. Till 8:30. Let's check in with Shane right now. Shane, we see you in Aledo here. Give us an update on what you're seeing.
Damon, as we move to the east, we're right in front of the storms, and we just went through the area where Ray is at. If you guys remember, one of the largest wildfires we had in Oklahoma was at Ray. Anyways, as we went through that area, man, we were really getting pounded by some really high winds. The winds are right on the leading edge of the storms, and it's out of the south, moving to the north. But it's enough. It'll throw this expedition around a little bit, cross the center line and stuff like that. Anytime we meet a vehicle, we have to be real careful. But there are definitely some strong winds coming up with these storms. Now, just watching the radar, it's like not as bad as what we thought it was earlier. However, these winds, folks, don't. Just because you might be sitting at home looking at that radar going, oh, there's not a whole lot coming in my way. That does not mean anything. That there could still be high winds that are not thunderstorm related coming your direction. So be ready, folks. And as we move east through Dewey County, back to you, Damon.
All right, yeah, we're watching your picture there. And again, these storms, the northern end, they're still significant, but the farther south you go on the line, the stronger the storms become. And so this continues to be a big concern. Tornado warning inside of a severe thunderstorm warning. And so I know there's a lot of flashing colors that you see here, but this storm, this right here is becoming the dominant storm in the state. And a lot of the data that we've been looking at, it is going to make a run up to the northeast. It's going to impact like Tuttle, Minco, especially the western sides of the OKC metro, and then down to the southwest. Now, eventually, again, the overall intensity of the storm will decrease a little bit, but we're taking it from way up here down to here. So while this storm is moving at 90, 95 miles per hour plus, producing some significant winds, I've already had recorded winds of 114 miles per hour, now getting a lot of reports of power lines that are down to the west. This storm is going to keep moving up to the northeast and will likely just lay down a swath of damage that's going to basically right on top of the storm track that we're laying down right now. So Babs at 752, Godebo 804, down towards Carnegie at 817, Fort Cobb at 824, and then Apache at 826. We've been getting a lot of reports of damage, primarily to power lines that are down, and there are quite a few power outages out across western Oklahoma. But this is the main storm in the state that right now is just incredible. I mean, this is a mean-looking storm that is moving up to the northeast. Let's check in with Buck. Buck, your storm continues to be the most significant one in the state at this moment. Buck, give us an update on what you're seeing.
Damon, we're just passing through the east side of Altus right now, and as you can see, occasionally in my shot, you can see a lot of debris blowing around. So the winds are getting out in front of this storm here in Altus. We've had a difficult time seeing behind us because of all the lights in town. We're just about to get outside of town, but it does look like the lightning has come down a little bit. As I turn around and look out the rearview mirror, it's not nearly as prominent as it was earlier. But again, these winds are just now getting into Altus. We've had tumbleweeds pass us here in town. Back to you.
Yeah, and this storm right here, this is going to continue to tap into a very unstable environment. The shear in this storm that is in southwestern Oklahoma remains quite high, and so definitely still concerned. See, the power's on still, which is good to see, but I would just prepare a lot of us for power to go out. We hope it doesn't, but just know that we're likely going to be dealing with quite a few power outages for tonight. So as the storm is moving up to the northeast at this current track, you can see right here, it's making a run towards eventually south sides of the metro, Moore, Norman, southwest sides. Again, right now, OKC, down I-35, you're not in a warning. It's 747 at this moment. A lot of the data we've been looking at shows that these storms will come in between around 9 and 10 o'clock. And you'll know. Now, they're not going to last all night long. So this will not be a night that keeps you up all night. These storms won't keep you up all night, but they will keep you up for a while here. So you can see here we're working two separate tornado warnings within this complex right here. One that's for Dill City, Sentinel, Cambridge, and then one that's going to be down by Lone Wolf and just west of Hobart. Let's check in with Michael Armstrong, who's going to be just on the northern fringe of this. Michael, give us an update on what you're seeing.
Well, we're starting to get some heavier rain that's really kind of developing on it. I mean, this thing is just, it's engulfing western Oklahoma. Damon, I've lived in Oklahoma pretty much my whole life. Been in meteorology over 20 years. I've never seen anything quite like this. This is an incredible storm that's moving through the state right now. There are pockets of extremely intense wind. We're having trouble, just like Chris Lee is on I-40 because of the wind that's in our face, and just trying to steer clear of the 18-wheelers that are kind of in and out of their lanes coming down I-40. And we're not even in the worst part of the storm yet. It's still making its way up to the northeast. So, you just kind of hold your breath because there's even more moisture coming in through southern Oklahoma, feeding right into this storm. It is not going to quit for a long time.
There's nothing to obstruct it. There's nothing to block it. And so this storm right here continues to be significant. Now, I understand that the most important storm to you is the one that's going to affect you. So we're gonna go all the way up and down this entire line. I want you to know that. But right now, southwest of Hobart, that right there is exactly where the tornado would be, moving to the east. Let's reset. Let's zoom on out and just show everyone in western Oklahoma what's coming in their direction. And so, because we know that there are warnings all the way up and down this entire line from Woodward to Alva, down towards Watonga. So right now, severe thunderstorm warnings now east of Woodward. So Woodward and Buffalo, the worst is now behind you. So that's moving up to your northeast. Alva, some rain coming in. Our northernmost tornado warning that we had earlier, that has been replaced with a severe thunderstorm warning. That's good. And so, however, the farther south you go, you start to see these red flashing polygons. These are the tornado warnings. Let's check in with Chris Lee, who is going to be in between Elk City and Weatherford right now. Chris, out to you we go. Chris, give us an update on what you see coming in the Clinton.
Yeah, very fairly heavy rain along I-40, and we kind of thought that we'd be out ahead of it a little bit, given that where the storms had been there in Elk City. But it's kind of with the speed of this thing, it's very difficult to stay ahead of it, and we have an incredible crosswind, very strong south winds, and they're maintaining out ahead of the storm, although as you see in all the lightning we have, it doesn't look like we're very far ahead of the storm. Much more lightning back off to our south as I kind of turn into the darkness and pan the camera around behind us. But very difficult to drive. We're getting not as heavy rain as we had back in Elk City, but still very strong winds, and we aren't even in the strongest part of the storm at all. There's much stronger winds coming, and as you have said, when these storms, the most intense parts of the storm hit you, there will be damaging type of winds. So we need to be warning people about that, and just everybody needs to be aware that it's coming.
So absolutely, and so we have a confirmed tornado, by the way. Let's go back over to the radar. This is where we're now picking up debris inside of within this storm, just west of Hobart. Hobart, into your tornado shelter right now. See that blue? That means that we are now picking up debris within this storm. That means confirmed tornado, and that is coming right. That is racing into Hobart right now. Once again, you have to be in your tornado shelter right now. Innermost room in Hobart. That is debris with that storm moving to the east here. So Hobart 754, Godebo 804. Down towards Carnegie, 817, Eakley at 823, and then Albert at 828. But right now at 751, Hobart, this will be in there in 3 minutes. What we're looking at right now, the debris within inside this storm, and that is it right there, just west of Hobart. So in between Lone Wolf and Hobart, we know that this storm has struck something, and that debris is now getting lofted up into the air, and it lines up perfectly with our rotation tracker and our relative velocity right here. But that right there is very concerning. Jonathan, you're saying it's now getting even bigger?
Yeah. The next scan, that blue area right there, it's going to pop up bigger, about 3 to 4 miles. There it is. Yep. That is very significant. And so there's the tornado debris, that blue area right there. So it looks like that's the debris being lofted up into the circulation. Here's the velocity. Damon, I think there's going to be damaging winds coming into Hobart, but I feel like the tornado will pass to the northwest of Hobart, literally by about a mile. But you're still going to have Hobart, listen to me, you're going to have really bad damaging winds, like high-end winds, maybe some 80-mile-per-hour winds, but the tornado will pass literally a mile or two to your west and to your north and go back to the tornado debris. There it is, and then let's go to right there. It's right there, Damon.
That's it right there. And the way that these towns are set up out here, 1 mile can mean a world of difference between homes and some farmland, but that land still belongs to someone. So very concerned. Let's go out to Buck. Buck, on this storm that we're watching, confirmed tornado just north of you. Buck, give us an update on what you're seeing.
Yeah, Damon, we're on Highway 62 south of Hobart, and I think right in the center of my shot, you can see exactly what you guys are talking about on the radar. I'm not seeing it well enough to confirm what you're saying, but it's the signature for a tornado is definitely there.
It absolutely is, Buck. And so we see that storm right in front of your picture there. And again, within that, there's a tornado. We know it. The technology that we have, yikes. That's not what you want to see right there. That debris tracker, when it goes blue, that right there means that there's debris. This storm has struck something. We are hoping that they are trees that are getting lofted up into this. But that right there is this right here. And so, again, Buck is looking right into this storm. So the lightning strikes are what we're using to illuminate the sky to be able to get a visual on it. But that right there is a bad storm. This is a bad situation for Hobart. I know Hobart, it is going to be a very close call for the town of Hobart. But in your shelter immediately with this storm as it's moving up to the north, especially on the northern side, if you live outside the city limits of Hobart, but you're on the north side, in your shelter, innermost room of your house with this. This is a dangerous situation for the town of Hobart. A confirmed tornado moving very close to Hobart, and we are picking up debris inside this storm as it continues to move up to northeast. A picture that you see here, this is coming in from Buck, and so Buck is going to be very close to this, but once again, there are so many just storms that we have ongoing right now with all of this out across western Oklahoma. But this one right here is quite significant. Let's go back out to Buck. Buck, what do you see?
Damon, we're still looking to our north, and when these trees are not in the way, I can see it down. It is definitely down to the ground right now. Hopefully anyone, especially in the Rocky area, it's moving your direction. If you're not in your tornado shelter, you need to move now, and you need to move quick. This is on the ground near Hobart, headed towards Rocky. Back to you.
Yeah, and you can hear the tone that Buck and Jason there, his driver, we hear them talking in the back, and their tone, they don't talk like this all the time, but what they are seeing right now is concerning. And what we are seeing from their pictures here is concerning to us. What we are seeing on the radar is concerning to us right now. Again, this is a dangerous storm coming into Hobart right now. So if we can do a 2-box, and we'll keep Buck's picture up on the left, but I need to put the radar up to show those downstream what's coming in their direction. See that blue? That is debris that has been picked up from this storm. Whether it's homes, whether it's trees, we are hoping it's shrubs, but we know that there's debris, and it lines up perfectly with where our radar is picking up the tightest rotation on this. Hobart, this is so close. And while Hobart, this is going to just barely move out of town, and the way that these towns are out west, that you go a mile outside of town and you're back over some farmland, that land still belongs to someone. And so for Rocky, Sentinel, this is going to stay just south of you. But for the town of Rocky, Cloud Chief, Lake Valley, Goaty Boat, downstream, this is going to be a very close call for you as well. But that right there is highly concerning that we see this right here, that red and that green lined up. So, Jonathan, what do you have?
Yeah, okay. So, Damon, there's another area of circulation right there. So this is all I'm going to do all night long. I'm going to just circle where there is circulation is for the potential next tornado to form. And also that blue line, that is a pretty strong line of damaging winds. Again, you're going to have substantial large area of damaging winds on the leading edge of the bow echo here. I'm going to go back to right through there, and then we'll go over to velocity. So tornado north of Hobart, new one forming southeast of Hobart, 1, 2, 3 miles southwest of Camalti. All right, so 2 areas of circulation, at least minimal. So 2 potential, I wouldn't, and that's in that southern tornado warning. So we have 2 tornado warnings there. So the one for Hobart, and then the one south of Hobart, between Hobart and Babs, this warning right here for Kiowa County. So 2, and that's all I'm going to do, Damon. I'm going to start circling the areas of circulation, and these are going to be moving really quick again. And these are just the embedded tornadic circulations on the line, and on that line, you're going to have damaging winds potentially 70 to 80 miles an hour, Damon.
Yeah, and so let's zoom on out because there's a lot of warnings ongoing. So brand new warning now coming into Canadian County, by the way. So we're getting closer and closer to these storms coming up the I-35. So let's go back up north. We're going to go back down to the south, but I understand, look, all of these storms are important, and so we need to touch on every single warning. Sealing, Tologa. Let's go out to Shane Helton. Shane, strong winds with these. This has been warned for 70 to 80 mile per hour winds, Shane. How strong are the winds where you are, real quick?
Well, just a moment ago, we were tracking a rain curtain. We was able to keep up at 40 mile an hour with that rain curtain. So the storms are still fairly strong, and they're moving right into the Leedy area. I'm told that there's quite a bit of emergency vehicles. For some reason, they're real active over by Leedy, which is where we were at just moments ago. But we don't know exactly where they were heading, but they were definitely en route somewhere. With these winds, I'm sure there's probably power lines down all over the place. So, Damon, back to you.
Okay, so Shane, be safe. We'll talk to you again in just a second here, but we have to work our way all the way down the line because this entire line is now ramping up, very concerned. And so this warning right here that we have, so I-40 and to the south, if you're in Hinton, Clinton, Calumet, Binger, Anadarko, this complex is racing into town. 90 mile an hour winds. That's considerable damage that we're talking about with these. And within it, embedded circulations. So We're real concerned about this. Let's check in with Michael real quick. He's going to be up on I-40. Michael, line is surging to the east. Michael, give us an update on what you're seeing by Clinton.
Yeah, it is. It's surging to the east and to the northeast as well. So there is still a movement. And one thing that you can tell that by, Damon, is the storm. If you just, I know Jonathan's been tracking that debris signature. It was west of Hobart, and now it's moving up toward Rocky. You can't get to Rocky from Hobart without going north. So we know this storm is moving to the northeast, and that's a bad direction for it to be heading. So listen, you guys, please be ready and go to your shelter as soon as the storm starts getting close to you. We're still getting really intense wind at times, a lot of heavy rain along I-40, but it really is focused in that area kind of from Cordell all the way south down to the Red River. And this whole area is just spreading across the southern half of Oklahoma. There's really not going to be any area that's untouched by it in some way.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, this is a big time storm. Let's go back over to the radar. We'll check in with Shane. We'll check in with Chris, and we'll check in with Michael in just a moment. But back over to the radar. So Godibo, southeast of Rocky, near the community of Camalti. Here's your rotation couplet. Godibo in your shelter. Hobart, you're okay now, at least from this line now surging to your east, the tornadic part. You're still going to see some strong winds. The debris looks like it's come down a bit in the last couple of scans. That is good. Now it was there. You can see it right here, but notice how we're not seeing the deep blues that we saw earlier. That would indicate debris with this storm moving up towards Godibo. Warning moving up to the northeast here, 75 miles per hour. These storms, they are moving extremely quickly. We are still tracking strong straight line winds, also the threat for these tornadoes to pop up within this line. And for anyone that is, if you're at the OKC Thunder game right now, or if you know anyone at the game right now, stay put. These storms are going to move in between 9 and 10 when the game's letting up, and so you do not want to be on the road when these storms are coming in. So Rocky, Camalti, 2 areas of rotation within this tornado warning moving to the east. Lake Valley, Godibo, Alfalfa, Carnegie. You're next in your tornado shelter, getting ready to go into your room. These storms are not going to last long. These are moving incredibly fast. 65 to 90 miles per hour. Within them, they're going to be winds gusting 90, at times well over 100 miles per hour. But this right here is what we were concerned about. Let's zoom on out. Let's show the big picture and show just everyone what this storm looks like from a reflectivity standpoint in western Oklahoma. I want to show everyone just how long and how far south this line of storms goes. So notice how as you go up to the north, we're still finding storms up here, but the intensity of these storms up in northern Oklahoma is a little less. Now, I understand if you're in Enid, if you're in Ponca City, if you're in Medford, the most important storm for you is the one that's going to impact you. So we're watching these storms closely. We have Shane east of Isai, west and southwest of Fairview, west of Canton. This storm right here warned for 70-mile-per-hour winds and some hail, but right now they're no longer tornado warned. The tornado warnings are south of I-40. So here's Chris, here's Mike, there is Buck. Watching these 2 storms right here, or really just this line right here, but embedded within it is a bowing out structure that basically means some intense winds that are coming in with this. And at this current track, I mean, these are headed towards eventually Blanchard, Newcastle, Oklahoma City, South OKC, Moore, and Norman as they move to the east here. So looking at the winds inside these storms, first off, the winds ahead are incredibly powerful. Even behind are incredibly powerful. But the winds inside the storm, you see little areas of rotation between Rocky, Godibo, northeast of Camalti, south of the community of Lake Valley. Here's another one south of Godibo. And these are just going to jump around with this line. So they're not going to remain constant on this leading edge here. They're going to be skipping around as they move to the east here. But look at this current track with the most significant part of the storm in the state, Godibo up towards the OKC Metro. So Lake Valley, 805, Cloud Chief, 809, Alfalfa, 818, Fort Cobb, 823. Right now it is 804. All of these communities right here, you're in the path of this storm. And this is moving in quickly. So we have tornado warnings in the state right now. We have severe thunderstorm warnings that have language within them that are just incredible. Winds, movement, 90 miles per hour. That's incredibly fast. Let's check back in with Buck. Buck is going to be on this storm south of Gotebo. Buck, what do you see?
Yeah, Damon, we're still looking to the north at this storm, and I can report that I can see completely under the base of it, so I don't think there's anything on the ground right now lower there. And as you can tell, our visibility is not nearly as good. We've been kind of overtaken by rain, but every once in a while we'll get that lightning strike that illuminates that storm to our north that we get a good visual of it. We've got some strong, and I mean strong, south winds blowing us all over the road. Jason's doing a great job of keeping us going here as we move our way east on Highway 62. We're approaching the Cache area and soon Lawton. Again, heavy winds out of the south and a lot of lightning picking up all around us. Back to you.
And Buck, the state appreciates what you and Jason are doing there, bringing these pictures and bringing these reports into us, because your pictures, your reporting, incredibly important in helping us use the right tone for these storms that are moving to the east here. So once again, watching these storms. So here's Buck. And so in this entire line, again, goes all the way down. So if you're watching in Pauls Valley, Wynnewood, Sulphur, Davis, 10 to midnight will be the timeline that these storms will move in for you, although the risk will be just a little bit lower. But we're still finding some powerful winds with this storm as it continues to surge to the east, definitely bowing out. And when you see this bowing out right here, that indicates some powerful winds that are getting wrapped up in the backside. As Jonathan is highlighting on the leading edge, you have these circulations. They're very brief, but they're there. We've definitely have already confirmed a tornado with at least our debris tracker, knowing that something got hit. Hoping it's shrubs and not homes. But at this current track, just looking downstream, this is why we're telling people, look, if you're at the OKC Thunder game right now, hang tight, please. You do not want to be on the road when these storms are moving in at 70, 80, 90 miles per hour. They will move in incredibly quickly. I promise you that. So once again, updated storm track, Fort Cobb at 824, Eakley at 828. Now ahead of this, the winds are blowing. We can hear them here at the TV station. It is incredibly windy ahead of this, but this is continuing to move up to the northeast. So outside of the tornado warnings, polygon that you see here, Fort Cobb, Albert, Gracemont, Anadarko. You will likely have a warning issued very soon for you with this line as it continues to move to the east. Let's pull on out. Let's show the big picture. Let's go back up into the Elk City area, Weatherford, Clinton, where we have Michael and we have Chris Lee get an update. Let's get an update from Michael Armstrong just west of Weatherford. Michael, give us an update on what you're seeing.
Damon, the winds, they're just whipping us around on I-40. It's crazy. I mean, it's had a wind gust of 77 in Clinton. We just came through there. So, I mean, those are strong enough winds to take down power lines and do wind damage to certain structures as well. And that's on the north end of this line of storms. That's how ridiculously intense it is. And like I said earlier, it's not even the strongest part of the storm. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You guys have been hitting it hard for that area that's further south that's produced all the tornadoes. But this whole complex is so intense, and it's all moving right towards central Oklahoma.
It is. And central Oklahoma, OKC, down towards Blanchard, Newcastle, Moore, Norman. This message is for you. Again, these storms are going to be coming in about 9, 10 o'clock. When they come in, they're going to have some extremely powerful winds. We're now within about an hour to an hour and a half of that happening. So if you've been watching us on your mobile device, on your phone, look at your phone and look at the battery that you have in there. Just know that that's going to be a concern. If your battery is running low, you want to use the next 90 minutes to try to get as much power into it. I have a very good feeling that we're going to see some significant power outages, widespread power outages. Gas stations probably are not going to work tonight once these storms come through for the storms that are going to be impacting whatever town it is in this path right here. So gas stations are probably going to be impacted. So if you're low on fuel, just know that you may be having to drive a bit farther just to get just to be able to use put some gas in your car. And that will likely continue into tomorrow morning as well, because it will take a while for power to be restored with these storms moving in here. They're moving in fast, but even behind them, you're still going to have winds up around 50 to 55 miles per hour. That will continue for at least 3 hours. So high wind warnings are in place with these storms. So Cloud Chief, the Lake Valley, Gotebo, the worst of the storms are now east and southeast of you. Sedan, west of Broxton and southwest of Fort Cobb, where you see the pink on the radar, that is the most intense line of the storms. There's a brand new warning, by the way, that's being typed up as we speak, and that will extend east of Comanche County and as you go up to the northeast. So we're pulling these warnings deeper into central Oklahoma. Let's zoom on out. And let's show just everyone how far south these storms go, because this line extends deep into Texas here, by the way. So I know we've been hitting this area hard, but look at this, all the way down to Abilene and down to I-20. So that means those of us in Ardmore, Sulphur, Ada, you'll see storms coming in as well. Now, the farther south you go down this line, the weaker the storms are, you can call it that. Wind 60 to 65 miles per hour. That's still significant for those of you that are in Pauls Valley, Wynnewood, Davis, Turner Falls. We're watching these storms for you. But when we look at the data within these storms, the most significant is going to be these tornado warnings that we have right there. Let's go up to this right here. Debris being picked up just northeast of Rocky, south of Cordell. So we'll have to look at that. Kind of lines up a bit with our velocity, and when you see that weakness right there, that blue, that right there indicates that there's debris getting lofted up inside this storm. So we'll have to watch this one closely, real close. We're hoping that this is going to be trees, shrubs, and not homes. Right now, we've been getting a lot of reports of power lines that have been down, power outages that have been down as this continues to move up northeast. Let's check in with Chris Lee. Let's get Chris Lee. Give us an update on what you see headed in your direction.